Hello and welcome to another episode of Bodied, a Cloud9 fancast. I am your host, as always, Havokpus, and I am joined by Frozencreek, as always.
Hello, I'm back on my normal setup, though. I
You
have,
did it.
yeah, I fixed my car. I bought new golf clubs. I'm about to sign a lease for a new apartment. It's been a
Oh, you're
hell,
just
it's been a hell of a week.
you're just doing it all day. You're crushing it. You're doing all the adult things. You're getting golf clubs and you're signing paperwork.
Yeah, I'm moving in with my girlfriend of like 5 years, so I'm
Oh,
moving to
nice.
Detroit in a couple weeks. So there might be a blip in there, but I'm hoping that we can keep the podcast going smooth because that should be right about the time that finals will be. Yeah, it looks like it'll be that week, so I guess I will have to figure it out so we can be back and on because of course we're going to find finals.
Yeah, you're gonna be on a time crunch. So you gotta get it together, Frozen.
Yeah, the important things. Yeah, and we've had a ton of audio issues this week, but I think we should be good. Should be going clean. Should be pretty. So, how have you been?
I've been doing good. I started back up having to go to work again, which sucks.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
I miss not having to go and be there for 12 hours a day.
Yeah, i- i- and still getting paid. It's the
Yeah,
best thing in the world.
it's something that you get used to really quickly, and then when they're like, "Hey, you have to come back to work," you're like, "No, please don't. I, I want to
Yeah,
I want to stay
especially for
home."
12 hours. That's a long time.
It's pretty rough when it's like day, it's kind of weird, but like it's rough sort of the hours between like for day shift it's like before noon, like between 8 and 12, the day just really slows down, especially if you don't have anything going on. It just takes forever to get through. And then for night shift, it's usually like after midnight, between like midnight and like 2. It's just really slow and you're just like, I just want to go to bed. Please just end this. I don't want to stay up anymore.
Yeah, and it's not like you're staying up to like watch LPL or read comics or anything. You're just stuck at work.
Well, I mean, I'm still doing that, but I'm doing that also
Oh,
having to pay attention to work.
oh, okay, fair.
So it's sort of like splitting your attention. So like I'll be looking at my phone for something, and then every 5 minutes I'll kind of glance around to make sure nothing's going on that like I need to like give my attention to. And it's like, okay, everything's looking good. Time to look back at my phone.
Well, good. As it should be
As
because
it should be.
work is not a time for work. Work is a time for play.
Exactly.
And I stand behind that.
No one has yet to correct me or get on to me about it. So until that happens, I'm going to continue to do so.
Hell yeah. And we're also going to continue winning because we had a lot of good news this week, and no one has told us to stop winning yet. So I'll, I will take all that I can.
Yeah, we did get some good news. I think the biggest news and something that was really overlooked by a lot of Cloud9 fans was that the Rainbow Six team won the APAC Major. For those that aren't aware, that due to the whole coronavirus thing, instead of having one big major where all the teams from the different regions are coming together, they were just having major events for each region. And for our region, which is the APAC North, Cloud9 defeated Giants Gaming 3-1 in their best of 5 series, which is really great considering we haven't beaten them yet. Like, I don't think that in watching their regular season games and stuff, we've never beaten Giants before. So to us come in and then just stomp them 3-1, I think our last map was a straight 7-0 victory,
Oof, nice.
which was another thing altogether. So it was like, damn, we crushed it. So we're the champions of at least Korean Rainbow Six, which is super great.
Yeah, I wish I could have watched, but as we talked about last week, the game happened at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. something our time, so it wasn't ideal. But hey, a championship's a championship, and since there was no like big a major, we can just say that we're the best Asian a Rainbow Six team now.
Exactly.
And
And,
until
and
somebody proves otherwise.
yeah, and I would have watched it, but I was coming home from a night shift and I went to bed. And when I
Oh,
woke up, I just saw all the notifications and I'm like, what is going on? And it turns out that we won. Like I think like we won right as I woke up.
oh,
So
nice.
I was just like, I missed the entire match.
It happens. Still, a win's a win.
A win is a win. I'm extremely proud of the team. Everyone, at least from the clips that I saw and everything, everyone played great. I think the MVP was probably like Xiao, I think. He's a monster of a player. And I think that historically our Korean Rainbow Six team actually, like, we went in with this team like originally when we first got them, like they really weren't that good. But I think through some roster swaps and whatnot, we created a team that has now won a championship. So it feels pretty good.
Yep, a win's a win. So, we take those.
We definitely take that.
Yeah, we also take wins in other shooting games too, like CS:GO.
Yeah, we have so many shooties going on. CS:GO was taking the small player break, but they're actually doing two events kind of simultaneously. They're in the DreamHack Open, as well as participating in the FunSpark Ulti and a qualifier. And it's kind of interesting that they're doing them both at the same time. I guess with everyone playing online, you can do that. But I think they've had to. I think like yesterday they had to play maybe like 3 or 4 matches or something. And I think it was maybe like back to back or something.
Yeah, it kept
So
popping up. I was like, huh, this is weird.
yeah, it's really weird. It's a really weird way to do things, and to have them kind of do it all at once. Yeah, I think a better way to do it was to kind of stagger it to where like you have DreamHack one day and then the qualifier then the next day, and you kind of just alternate. So at least you're not having to like constantly back and forth like the same day. Like, okay, who are we playing? We're playing like Team 1 or whatever, or whoever that Brazilian team was, and it's like, well, we played them like today already, but this is for a different event, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was weird following all of it. I actually didn't get to watch anything, sadly, because I've been golfing a lot.
Yeah, I was at work, but we are for the FunSpark Ulti. They're in the losers bracket finals, so I think if they win this match, I think they qualify for the FunSpark event. And currently in DreamHack, we are sitting at 1-1. So looking good so far, guys. Hopefully they can keep up the good work.
Yeah, good work on them. I'm assuming they're playing today. We're recording
Yeah,
on
they are.
Thursday, and this will be posted shortly after we're done recording. So there shouldn't be too much of a blip. So everything should be up to date, and I encourage you all to watch this CS:GO today. And there's more news, or there's more stuff happening today, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, I think I do have to dispense some bad news on the Valorant front, because we were in the last week. I talked a little bit about the FaZe Invitational kind of group stages. We looked really good in the group stage. We went 2-0. We beat Renegades, then we beat TSM. But then we got to the playoff bracket, and we looked really, really bad. Apparently TenZ, and I think maybe another player was sick. But I think as a whole the team just wasn't playing well. We lost like our first match, and then we had to go down to the losers bracket. We beat FaZe, and then we went on to have to play Immortals in the losers quarterfinals. But then we like narrowly lost in that match, and they really just weren't playing well. And it could be that it was just an off event. It could be the sign of more problems. I think the biggest issue the team has is that if TenZ isn't doing well, the rest of the team really struggles to kind of shoulder the burden. And, a few other people from the C9 Discord were saying that, and I think I maybe said this in a couple of tweets or whatever, but, we have a 5th slot still open. And even though Vice has pretty much been playing with us consistently since we kind of started playing in Valorant, I think it would really benefit us if we use that 5th slot to have someone that can really carry the team similarly to Tens, so Tens doesn't have to worry about him always playing on point all the time. And I think getting someone that can be just as much of a hard carry and everything can really open up the team to playing a lot better than having Vice, who I think, if we're not kidding ourselves, he's probably going to get signed, since we've been kind of staggering these announcements out, and he's been playing with us all the time. But it's just something that I think the team should maybe look into. I think at the very least they should look into a coach, because not having a coach seems kind of silly when a coach can really open up to, hey, you guys are doing this wrong, or please stop playing like this or doing this strategy, it's not working, instead of them having to kind of self-regulate and everything. But yeah, it was not the best showing. I'm not sure if you watched it.
I did not watch the losses. I did watch
Did you watch the
first
phase
game that we played,
Okay.
I think. So I didn't get to see any of the losses.
Okay. But yeah, it's just one bad event, so it's not the end of the world. I think that they can just as easily bounce back in this Pittsburgh Knights event that's coming up this weekend, or the B site. I think it's like Pop Flash event that they're doing. And for those that don't know, B site is sort of the organization that's like it's kind of like a franchised CS:GO league that Cloud9 is one of the founders of. So basically, if you were a founder of B site in Flashpoint, you basically got an invite to the event. So it's like us, Envy, Dignitas, TSM, I think Immortals too. So it's kind of like that. But they could just as easily perform well and have good showings there. But I think that the mistakes in not playing up to their usual kind of standard in this event, I think, might be a little bit worrying, especially with the scene really being super early. And if you're going to make big roster moves and kind of start shuffling people around, now might be a good time to do it.
Yeah, the scene is still young, so we will see how it evolves from here. But are there any other teams with coaches yet?
T1 has a coach, and I think maybe Team Liquid has one. G2 might also have a coach, but so far, I think for the most part, it's just been teams have the Valorant roster. I don't think a lot of organizations that we've seen have actual coaches that have been signed to kind of help teams, kind of fix mistakes and improve their play and stuff yet.
Yeah, so it's early still.
Yeah.
That might be something that we see down the line. I mean, at this point, they could be working with a coach, and we just don't know, because Vice hasn't been announced, and maybe a coach could be announced after that, or they could be in talks with a coach. So we'll see. At this point, it's just a matter of time until we find out who our last player is, and that his name is Vice. So.
Yeah, but I guess moving on, I was going to do an Overwatch segment, but nothing has really changed.
Yeah, we're still not good.
We're still not good. There, the Overwatch segment has ended. The British Hurricanes are still good. Watch the British Hurricanes, they're much better.
Yeah.
London Spitfire is still not good.
Yeah.
I guess our last bit of news before we can talk about League of Legends stuff is that in sort of a surprise turn of events, we have signed IWillDominate to join as a streamer and content creator.
Yeah, so I think we kind of have different opinions about this, because I saw the tweet that you posted right after the fact, and I actually disagreed with it. So do you want to go first and talk about why you think it's good for Cloud9, and then I can do the flip side, because
yeah, we can have a little
I do
back
think
and
there's
forth.
good and bad about it, but I'll let you go first.
So I think it's good, and this is mostly from a business perspective, in that Dom has a gigantic following on Twitch. His streams always generate a lot of viewership. His content always gets a lot of viewers, and he has a pretty big fan base that you can really leverage signing him to Cloud9 allows him to create content for you. You can put your label on his podcasts and do a bunch of other stuff. Not only are you promoting his content, but through that you're promoting content yourself, and you're getting just a lot more people engaged with the Cloud9 brand through him and his streams and stuff. Is he a garbagey person? Yes. I really don't like him from like a personality perspective. I really don't watch him, and I don't really like him from how he kind of carries himself and everything. But from a business perspective, of he generates a lot of viewers, and you can use this to your advantage. I think it's good, and it's a smart move from C9 from a business standpoint.
Yeah, so the reason I don't like him is because of who he is as a League player. While I do think that it's probably good for the brand, I think it does kind of show the people that Cloud9 is kind of targeting to get into esports and the org. Now, I don't know if he's on our payroll, but or what's this? Is Thorin? So
I don't think Thorn
he's on the payroll, but he's been doing a Cloud9 produced show with Monty, two problematic people, and now we add IWillDominate to the mix, who has been, I believe, removed from the league partnership program due to toxicity.
Yes, that's right.
Monty is banned from owning an LCS team due to stuff that
most of that I think
partially
wasn't
out
even
of his control.
It was mostly out of his control, yes.
But as a part owner, he did have a responsibility to do better.
Yes,
because
I do agree with that.
What happened with the whole what was her name?
Her name was Remilia, and
Yeah,
it was
Remilia.
a very tragic story.
Yeah, the late Remilia, who put up with a lot of bullshit under Monty's and Chris Bodied, I think is who it was.
Yeah, that's
reign.
his name.
Yeah, and I think Chris did 98% of that, but Monty was part owner and should have done more, because that is a horribly tragic story, and I feel awful about that still to this day. And now we're adding IWillDominate alongside Thorin, who is a bellend. He's Scottish, I think. So I think that's the appropriate term.
I'm not sure. All I know is that it's, for me, it's amazing that Thorin is still around and still working, considering all of the trashy opinions and things that he says on a regular basis. Like when it comes to being an esports journalist, he does his job very well. But then he stops doing that and will say just about any other opinion about anything else, and it will just go immediately to, what are you talking about? Stop.
Yeah.
No.
He's obviously a smart guy when it comes to esports, but he's also like reposted like right-wing propaganda on his Twitter. And he's kind of just a controversial dude and bad, I think. He's not a great dude, but he's knowledgeable about esports. I will say I do love that he riles up TSM fans, and I do think he was right about the Doublelift thing. Even though a riot absolved them of anything wrong happening, that was just because they couldn't prove it, because you can't prove most of what happened, I guess, but that doesn't mean that it's not immoral of what went on there. And now we're adding IWillDominate, who is kind of a shitty person too. Like I said, he was taken out of the LPP program for just being a giant asshole. And I do think that he does, when he's talking about League outside of a game, I think he's extremely smart, well-spoken, and he knows what he's talking about. But he still, I assume he still plays League. I don't watch him, and that's when it is problematic. And I don't like that we're associating ourselves with people who have been involved in some shady and bad things overall. But I guess it's unavoidable, and I'm glad that we do have good leadership at the top who seems to have the right goals in mind. That they're not bad people, and they just want to win it, and they don't do all the other bullshit behind the scenes that we generally don't see.
Yeah, I think that I think one thing that is interesting is that from what I think they cut like a video together, and Jack was saying how I think Dom approached him in Cloud9, and so I think in that scenario, C9 gets to kind of dictate sort of the terms into how things handle. If Dom came to them and they're like, look, I want to make content for you guys, I think it would be a really nice idea. C9, I think Jack has even said, yeah, if he's going to try to work with their sports psychologist and try to like really better his behavior, and they probably put some stipulations in his contract about, look, this is how you act on stream. You can't be doing this stuff anymore. You can't be saying all these negative things. You can't be just acting like a trashy person or whatever. I would have to imagine they put that in there to ensure that he doesn't completely damage their brand by doing what he did in the past. Because one thing that's really a great way to change how people act is money. So if you give him a bunch and then say, hey, don't act like this anymore, if the amount of money is big enough, you'll say, oh, I will guarantee I will never do this again.
Yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of people on Reddit were bringing up Jensen and how he got like perma banned or something from League when he was 16. There's a massive difference between a 16-year-old and Dom, who's 28 and has shown for the past decade that he's kind of an asshole. So,
oh God, he's as old as I am.
I'm pretty sure
Jesus.
he was 27 or 28. Yeah, I mean he was playing pro when I started watching season 5. He's not.
I don't like this fact.
He's not that young. Oh, I was looking up soccer players today because I was trying to figure out how old two of them were. One of my favorite players I found out is 2 months younger than I am today, which felt really bad.
Oh yeah,
because I thought he was older.
Yeah, I hate when like you see like an esports player and they're making so much money and then like this dude's only 19 and I'm like, oh my God, I wasted so many years of my life.
Yeah, Jackie Love is what, 20 maybe? He's been playing pro since he's 19. He was born in 2000.
That really hurts.
And he's like arguably the best ADC in the world.
Yeah, it really hurts when like when people are like making more money than you and they're like almost half your age.
Yeah, we were playing contracts, or we like had contracts on our roster when he wasn't old enough to play League yet, I think.
I remember that.
Yeah, which was wild. And he's probably still, what, 21 now? He's still a baby.
Yeah, he's super young.
So, yeah, the false equivalence of Cloud9 signing Jensen and IWillDominate is completely different, and I don't think it's fair to even compare them at this point, because Jensen has had a squeaky clean record, I think, since he joined.
Yeah, he hasn't really
Cloud9.
done anything wrong, I think, since he got banned and then he was reinstated. But well, I guess we'll just have to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I didn't want that to go on as long as it did, because but I do think he would be a good asset for their talk show with Monty.
Oh, for sure.
I don't watch it because I don't support Monty, but I think that Monty and IWillDominate would make a good duo.
His podcast, The Crackdown, actually has it's considered one of the best League of Legends sort of pro scene sort of podcasts in that
behind
space.
Us, though, right?
I think so.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, I actually assume I would really like it, but I'm trying.
He's had some good interviews. I've watched it a couple of times when he interviewed like a couple C9 players, and he's gotten some really good interviews. They've gotten, he's able to kind of get them to be candid, and they say some stuff that sort of some behind the scenes stuff that's happened, and it's really neat. It's a very interesting show, but yeah, I think that it'll benefit everyone in the long run, and as long as he doesn't slip up and do something stupid,
yeah, and
it's fine.
Yeah, I guess I will say that he does have a possible redemption arc, but it's still problematic just based on his past.
Right. But let's move on and talk about our wrapping up of the summer season. And we've got a 2-0 victory, Frozen, after a really bad second half.
Yeah, we
of the summer split.
Somehow we squeaked out second place still. So I think, our goal was first, but
we get the bye. That's all that
I
matters.
think, all things considered, after that second half of the split, I'll take second place.
Yeah, exactly. I think the matches last weekend show a really interesting kind of dichotomy, because on Saturday you had the Dig matchup, which kind of reflected how we were really playing all second half of summer, where it was just, just we were not playing well. We were not making good decisions. Our drafts were not really looking good. I think Reaper even came on the nines and was saying how, like, yeah, the draft for the Dignitas game was really bad. That was, that's kind of my bad. And, he talked about our struggles and stuff. But, the Dig game was really interesting because, we drafted this really weird comp that really didn't seem to kind of work together. And we didn't really have a lot of damage at the beginning, and we kind of had to scale a lot. But it was really interesting how the Dig game was really bad. But then you go to the CLG game, and we drafted and played like we were in the first half of summer and how we were in spring, where it was just Blabber on an aggressive jungler, Nisqy on a champion that he's comfortable with in a matchup where he can, clear waves really quickly and then roam. Licorice was on a really good top laner. His GP's been one of the better champions he's picked this summer. And Sven, and we get a Callista Thresh bottom lane, and that's like the S tier bottom lane right now. So, we drafted comfort picks and picks that work to our style. We were challenging neutral objectives as soon as they come up. I'm talking first dragon comes down, we're there. Rift Herald spawns at like 9 minutes or whatever, we're there. We were playing how we were playing before, and Blabber was zooming around the map like a race car, and farming like crazy, and really helping his team with ganks and other stuff. So it was a really interesting kind of mirrored weekend.
To be fair, the second game was against CLG, and we could have just picked Teemo, Ivern, Zed, and then a random bot lane, and still
No, yeah,
it
is true that we were against CLG with their subs that they've never really played with.
Yeah, and so I think the reason that we just picked that comp was to just get it over with and not like show anything, because I really don't think there was anything to take from that from the CLG match, because we knew that they were pathetic. They had to win 1 of 9 games to make playoffs, and they lost 9 in a row. 1 win, and they were eighth place in playoffs.
Ouch.
Which it's good that they lost, because God, they were pitiful. And at least Dig will not give a fight to someone, but at least they'll put up a fight, and as opposed to just going in and just losing 3 straight games in 22 minutes.
Yeah, I think that like beating CLG and beating them that handily is probably something that we kind of expect. I think it is interesting, us struggling with Dig was, I think that the competition in NA kind of says something that we were able to just kind of beat everyone single-handedly in spring, and then everyone actually started trying, and then it's like, oh, well, now you're making it difficult for us, And And that really only kind of happened second half of the split, and after we were kind of shying away from more standard picks to try to like try some stuff out. It was, it's kind of weird how things kind of shook out, but I think that I don't want to say that we're back, right? Even after the CLG performance, because it's CLG. I think that doing that is, anyone could do. But I think that I will say about the CLG map is that we kind of showed like, and this is something I kind of stole from the LEC casters, but it's, your last game of the regular season, don't hold anything back. Show this is how you want to kind of play in playoffs. And that's what Cloud9 kind of did. They kind of did the sort of ending punctuation point of, look, this is still who we are. This is how we're going to try to play. We can still play like this. And I think that it at least shows that they still are able to kind of play as a team and do all that stuff. But I don't think it's something where it's set in stone. Yes, we're going to crush it in playoffs now. You guys, we beat CLG and we played like we did before. We've got this on lock.
Yeah, and I mean, it just shows that we can still play that shit. It gives other teams a chance to ban out our champions, and hopefully we have a counter comp set up. So
what's more impressive is that Blabber can actually play Graves, because he hasn't played Graves up until that CLG game. All split long, everyone was playing Graves, right, except for Blabber.
Yeah.
And I think I maybe heard that Blabber actually wasn't really good on Graves, and he really struggled with it. But I think that he saw that everyone was playing it, and I think it got to a point where he's like, okay, I'm just gonna try and learn Graves really, really hard, so I can play it.
It's not much of a Blabber champ, just because it's not a run over the other team 50-minute champ. It's more of a hard farm and play PvE until 25 minutes or something. Like, what was it, a couple weeks ago? Proxa went, 0-0 and
oh, yeah, I
0?
remember that. I think so. I think he maybe got like one assist or something. But yeah, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Graves like a pick to where in certain jungle matchups he actually can be the take over early game by just getting kills and doing damage, since his numbers hit in a certain way to where he just he has red buff and his damage is in a certain spot to where he can just chase you down and kill you, and then he becomes like unstoppable. But in other matchups he just has to kind of farm and be there for the team when fights are, since he can offer explosive kind of damage.
Yeah.
Isn't that how he works?
With red buff, he does have good damage, and they normally take phase rush, so he has good sticking power. But I think there is a really decent period of time where he's good, but he's not going to be like one-shotting or like doing huge damage. I think it's once he gets warrior, he's decent, and then he needs another item or two before he becomes like the strong pick. And I don't really think he's being played that much in Asia, so I can look, but I don't think it's really a popular pick in Asia.
I think what's interesting is that this year, I think maybe summer particularly, I can't remember spring, but it feels like each region has kind of selected their own meta instead of everyone just following what Europe or Korea or China are doing. It feels like Korea is doing its own thing, China is doing its own thing, Europe is doing its own thing, America is doing its own thing, and it feels like the regions have their own kind of approach and style to the game, which I think it makes the game more fun. I think, I think when
agreed.
In years past, when it's like, oh, well, everyone's just copying what Korea is doing, that's not really fun. That's just, okay, everybody watch these VODs of the Korean teams, watch what SKT is doing, and watch what whoever else is good is doing, and then just copy what they're picking.
Yeah, pick
Sejuani,
really, pick Victor, pick pick Maokai, pick
that's not
Alistar.
Fun. That's just kind of that's kind of bland. But with this, it's like, okay, North America really likes Ornn and Aatrox and some top laners, while a lot of other regions have really kind of started shying away from that. So it makes it actually enjoyable to watch North American League of Legends just because our picks are different from your picks, and it creates a sense of uniqueness.
Yeah, so I was actually wrong. Graves was played a shit ton in LPL. He was only picked 7 times in LEC, and he was picked 23 times in LCK as the 6th most played jungler, and he was not a very high priority in picking bans. So he was pretty prevalent in LPL, but that's about it. So, actually, I watched the game 4 of FPX in V5 today.
Oh, I heard that was really good.
That was a banger. PP God went off.
Now, I hate that there's a player named PP God.
How can you hate it?
It's just so stupid. It's just a dumb name.
He's so good too.
I don't care if he's good. I care that his name is stupid.
His name's elite. PP God's a hero.
Imagine you've studied journalism, right? You went to
I did.
This really great journalism school.
I did.
And you have to fucking interview this player, this man, you know, and then you go, so PP God. Tell me what was your strategy going into this game, and like just straight face, like having to just address him. I can't wrap my head around that.
Is there a problem with that? V5.
I have a problem with it.
So V5 finished 5th in the regular season. Spoiler alert: they just beat FPX. So they play Suning. I don't know. PP God might be going to Worlds. I'm just saying. Hey, I studied journalism at a really big school, and I would, at the drop of a hat, interview PP God.
You would automatically interview someone who went by the name PP God.
100%. And he was 3rd team all LPL too, so he's good. And
well, that's good. That's good at least that he has found success.
Yeah. That game was actually a banger too. We got Dwayne B's Karma. So I'm not sure what patch they're playing on, but Karma took a pretty decent nerf. I think it kind of hurt the mid lane and hurt early laning as a support, but I really don't think it turned out to be that big. So if they're on 10-15, then that's more explainable. But on 10-16, I've been playing it and it doesn't really feel that bad. But I can see why a pro team would not pick it. But I would like to see Niski's Karma pop back up. So
yeah, he was really good on that. But I don't have anything else for the matches this weekend. Do you want to talk about like playoffs, or I know you mentioned wanting to talk about Sneaky wanting to be back in the LCS.
Yeah. Let's do that really quickly. We're at what 35.
We're almost at like 40 minutes.
Yes. So we can spend a few minutes on this. So Sneaky said that he wanted to play LCS again, and obviously that's not going to happen on Cloud9. I know a lot of people have talked about CLG, and I think that offers an interesting roster potential for next split, because while I don't want him to go to CLG because they are, I heard it on the dive today, they are literally the worst LCS team ever, like over the course of a year.
Historically,
yeah,
they
like
are
over the course of a full year, over 2 splits, they are the worst LCS team ever. Which part of the reason for that is because up until last year or 2 years ago, teams would get they would get relegated. So they
yeah. I think if you go back like 3 years ago,
there was
CLG would no longer be in the LCS. They would cease to exist.
Yeah.
And I've seen, to kind of just sidetrack things a bit, I have seen like people kind of discuss kind of what is going on with CLG, and it's really interesting. And that, they said that, like, well, since CLG kind of sold to Madison Square Garden so they could get into the LCS, a lot of their business decisions have not been very good. They hired on Weldon, who I think, as of now, is kind of being shown as, like, he's kind of a snake oil salesman.
He got fired.
He's not really a coach, but people keep hiring him, even though he really doesn't seem to really know that much about coaching in this game particularly. But a lot of their decisions have just been really, really weird and questionable and everything. And I think that Sneaky's biggest option might be CLG, just in that, Dig isn't going to let go of Johnson.
Yeah, and they should not, because
he's
good.
The bigger teams like TSM, C9, Team Liquid, they're not getting rid of their AD carries. So, who is ultimately left? Immortals could be a good option.
Yeah. 100 Thieves.
They've also had, 100 Thieves also. I think Cody Sun has really not looked super great. He's, I think that 100 Thieves' success really comes off of more, I think, contracts being put into the team and being able to kind of play better in the early game, versus like Meteos. And FlyQuest maybe. I think FlyQuest mostly looks better than with Turtle.
Yeah,
with Turtle versus Mash, I think. But they could maybe get a new AD carry. But that could be a bit difficult.
Here's a bold claim. I think he'd be really good on Evil Geniuses if Bang were to leave.
I could see that. If they wanted.
If they wanted import a support.
Yeah, exactly. If they wanted to free up an import slot, they could definitely get Bang. Who is Golden Guardian's AD carry? I actually forgot.
FBI.
Oh, it's FBI. FBI's actually been playing really well this split.
Yeah, he's been super
I don't think
good
they
this
get
split.
rid of him.
I don't think they should.
Yeah, I think Sneaky's top choices are probably, like, in terms of candidates that need an AD carry, it would probably be CLG, Immortals, 100 Thieves. Those would probably be the ones that would really be reaching out to Sneaky. And I would, if I was Sneaky and I wanted to play professionally, I would probably choose 100 Thieves. They seem to be like the organization that at least cares the most about their players and success and could actually give you the resources to do that.
Yeah.
CLG, I think that's
cash.
Yeah, and actually they have cash. I think CLG, that might. I don't want to say it's a dead brand, but it's kind of a dead brand.
I mean, it is a dead brand, but it does offer some interesting roster possibilities, though. Like
that's if they completely just bulldoze the roster, which I think
they have to.
Which they have to after this year of just being so poor and mediocre. There's no way that I think anyone survives.
Or what they could do is Kumo's out of a job.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So Kumo could go top lane. I mean, he's better than Deuce or whoever the
Ruin.
He's
way better than Ruin.
Mile. By a mile. They can import a jungler. They got Pole Belter in mid if he stays, which I wouldn't blame him if he left.
Yeah.
Sneaky ADC, and they could import a support or play Smoothie.
I think you maybe get rid of. Actually, I'm gonna say that you get rid of Poe Belter and Smoothie as well, because Smoothie's looked really bad, and he seems to just be kind of on the decline in terms of skill level. But Poe Belter, I'm saying you get rid of him because you sub him in. Crown leaves. You're really hurting for a mid laner. You sub Poe Belter in, right? Even when he's on the team, he's supposed to be this like rock in the mid lane, this guy who has all this experience and is supposed to be carrying this team. He's still making really bad decisions, and and he's still looking really, really bad when playing in these games. I don't think Poe Belter is that much of an improvement over whatever they were playing with before.
I mean, he's also playing with Stixay, Wiggly, Deuce, Froggus, Smoothie.
Okay, that's
Ruin.
true.
So it's not like he had a chance. All right, here's the ultimate play. I'm looking at the CLG roster on LOL Esports.
Hmm.
Guess who is on their roster?
Oh,
Mr. Yoon Jae Lee
are we
himself.
talking about getting the kind boy to
Getting
immigrate and once again play in North America?
Mr. Kind Boy Rush, Yoon Jae Lee. Bring him back. Run it down. Pole Belter Rush, Sneaky, Kumo, and an unnamed support.
I would legitimately watch every CLG game if you got Rush and Sneaky in on a team because they're like
100%.
best friends.
100%.
They're like super buds, and like anytime they play together, it's always fun to watch. I would totally be all over that.
Yep, Mr. Monkey Boy himself. I mean, he's not going to come, but
No, there's no way.
I'd
He likes streaming
100%.
way too much.
I'd 100% be there for it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I think that's enough speculation for that. We do have 4 LCS games this weekend, I believe, starting today, meaning Thursday. Yeah, today we have Golden Guardians versus TSM, which looks like a banger. I looked at the betting odds so I could see who's favored. Obviously, it's TSM. Guess what their percentage chance of winning is according to Bovetta's
I would say
LCS betting.
I'd say maybe 70%.
Much higher.
Much higher.
Oh, no. Sorry, not much, but TSM has a 79, 80% chance of winning. I actually think I would, if I was a betting man, but I'm not because I gamble responsibly, and you should too. I think I have to say that. I would think I would bet for Golden Guardians on that to cover. Actually, I don't know.
I think that this is going to be a really interesting matchup because I think that Golden Guardians has actually improved a fair bit since the summer split started. While I think that TSM has improved some, but I think that they still have a lot of really shaky. They have a lot of really shaky games. I think that when they win, it's not a decisive thing. They're kind of having to wait for like the other team to make a mistake or something, and then they kind of take control through that. So I think it's going to be a really tight game. I'm really actually pulling for Golden Guardians to win. I think that what they have done with this roster, they've assembled this really scrappy team together of sort of unlikely heroes.
Yeah, Demonte,
right? You have Demonte, Hanser, FBI, who has slowly become like actually a top 5 AD carry.
Yeah.
Who he is a serviceable support, shockingly.
Exactly.
I would say Closer is probably Rookie of the Year in terms of, or Rookie of the Split for how he has played.
He might technically have to be almost.
I think everyone else is actually not a rookie.
Outside of Tuesday and Fragus.
Yeah, who've only played like a handful of games.
And they were an absolute dumpster fire. But, yeah, so the winner of that will move on to play either Team Liquid or Cloud9. The other game in that round, in the winner's bracket, I guess, is Evil Geniuses and FlyQuest. FlyQuest is favored, as I'm sure you can imagine, and they have a 75% chance to win, which I actually think that's fair.
Yeah, I can see that. That's fair.
I'm interested to see how Evil Geniuses uses their mid and top lanes, and if they switch them out at any point in time.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. I think that I would probably start off with just having Hoonie and Golden Glue start, since they've kind of been the ones that have gotten the more success from the team. I think if they're struggling, or if you really want to do a draft that really fits Kumo and Jizuke, then you can definitely swap. But I would say start with them. FlyQuest is really interesting because they've just been a really solid team, I think, throughout the whole year. And, they've had a solid roster. They've been competing, I think, like a top 3 team for the most part. I know that. Where did they finish in the regular season? Yeah, they finished 3rd likely so, because
FlyQuest, yeah,
they've
snuck
been
through.
competing like a top 3 team. So
Yeah, they
I think
snuck
that
through on a tiebreaker.
I think that I think it makes sense, and I think that you know, I think that'll be a good game. I'm not sure who's more favored, but I think whoever moves on is going to make it really, really interesting.
Yeah, and I whoever wins of these 2 matches will go on to face Team Liquid or Cloud9, and Team Liquid gets to pick who they play. So we are, I guess, kind of stuck. Probably, I don't know. If I were Team Liquid, I think I would pick not TSM.
Yeah, I think that you'd want to pick the easier of the opponents. Like, unless it was something like, remember in Spring Split when we were able to choose our opponents and we still chose, I think, 100 Thieves?
Uh-huh.
Even though 100 Thieves looked like the tougher opponent. It could be, if Team Liquid was really trying to do some mind games and they were super confident they could beat TSM, and I guess it would also determine, how the losers bracket really flexes out. If they want to go ahead, face TSM, beat them, and then send them to the losers bracket because they know maybe 100 Thieves can actually beat them, or Dignitas, if because Dig has looked improved at least a bit over the last couple of weeks. So, in edging out that playoff spot. So it could be, maybe they're playing mind games, I don't know. But I would assume that we kind of play TSM just on TL picking the, if TSM does win, picking the easier opponent. I think this playoffs is going to be a big deal for us because we can't be rescued off of Spring Split performance. We have to at least get 3rd place.
Yeah.
And my confidence in the team is a bit shaken with how the second half of Summer Split kind of was. I've said before that I'm not sure if we can make Worlds given how we have performed. The team, everyone in Cloud9 seems very confident they will play a lot better in playoffs, that their prep will be really good for playoffs. And I don't want to doubt them. I think that their prep has usually been very good. But I think that how Summer has kind of shook out, it definitely leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and it definitely leaves me worried that with how things kind of occur, we may not play as well and something bad will happen. I don't want to linger on that too much, but I think that is an eventuality we have to kind of worry about.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be too concerned yet just because
playoffs hasn't even started, so we can't really dwell on it too much.
Highly favored for us. But yeah, before I jump too much further, the losers of today's and tomorrow's games will play this weekend. The loser of TSM Golden Guardians plays Dig, and the loser of FlyQuest Evil Geniuses plays 100 Thieves on Sunday. So that'll be interesting. The way the bracket is set up is actually pretty nice. If we win once, if we beat our first opponent, then we are in a prime spot to go to Worlds. All we have to do is either, if we lose to Team Liquid, then we go to the 3rd place game automatically. So all we have to do is win 2 series and lose 1 max. So it'll be interesting, I think. I believe that's right, based off my reading of the bracket.
I think so. I think that's correct.
But I think the dive was saying something different, but I'm pretty sure that's right based on my reading of the bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and if we were to lose to Team Liquid, whoever we played in that 3rd place game would have to travel a long way to get there. So.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be really interesting. I actually kind of like the losers bracket. I think in kind of expanding things, I think it gives more teams a shot, as well as it makes things more competitive. If your favorite team lost because they did something stupid or whatever, you kind of have the chance at redemption, right? You kind of have more matches to watch and more excitement around it. I think whenever brackets do have losers brackets, I've never been opposed to them, so I'm really excited for this week and in the coming weeks of playoffs. It's going to be really great. And yeah, I really don't have anything else to say.
Yeah. I think that's about it. Who are your picks for this weekend? Who do you think we're going to be playing? And who do you think is going to be falling out of playoffs? It's kind of weird.
Let's see. So I think we're probably going to play TSM. Team
Yeah.
Liquid's probably going to play... I'm going to say Team Liquid's going to play FlyQuest, Evil Genius and Golden Guardians.
I feel like Team Liquid could pick FlyQuest because I think they... Or, crap.
I mean TSM.
I feel like they could because there is that whole double lift redemption arc that I think they want to crush. But I think Team Liquid matches up against FlyQuest better. Yeah, so I think they pick them.
Yeah, I think so too. And then I think that with Evil Geniuses and Golden Guardians going to the lower bracket, I think they'll probably advance. 100 Thieves could, I think, pull a surprise victory and advance on to the next round.
Yeah, they would be playing FlyQuest or Evil Geniuses.
Yeah,
the loser of that.
Yeah, I think that they could move on. I'm not sure about Dignitas. I think that Dignitas still kind of gets beat. But it'll have to depend on who they play and how they perform that day.
Yeah, and if we were to hypothetically lose, we would play the winner of 100 Thieves and the loser of the FlyQuest Evil Geniuses game. God, this is a nightmare. So I would just go look at it yourself, and we will talk about it as it happens.
Yes.
So we will be playing next week. We are set in for Thursday at 4. Is that 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? I guess it is.
I think so.
It must be 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All these games start. So, this will be up in time. You won't be able to listen to it in time, but it will be up in time. And that's the best I can do. So, as soon as Havok gets his audio and I guess get some lunch in front of me, I will begin to upload it. So it's on you, man.
Alrighty. Well, with that being said, thank you for listening as always to Bodied. I also want to give a quick shout out to the newly minted TSM podcast.
Oh yeah.
They are called TSM Total. They've cut their first few episodes this week recently. And we were slowly building our empire of fan podcasts.
Yeah, they just don't know yet.
They just don't know yet. What do we have? We have Dig, 100 Thieves, TSM now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We just need a few more, and we'll have the whole set. But it's great to see another fan podcast on. We would love to have you guys on the show to talk about matches and a whole bunch of other stuff. So definitely give them a follow. Follow us at C9Bodied. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, fuck TSM, but for now those guys are okay. If we play TSM, I'll talk to them and see if we can do a duo.
Yeah, that sounds great.
A duo segment. So shout out to them, but fuck their team. All right, have a good weekend, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.